Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaivo Narottamam Daivim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udire Nashta Prayeshu Badreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Jai Shri Radha Giridhari Bhagwan ki Jai. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ji ki Jai. जब लो हिज होलिनेस महाविष्णु गोस्वामी महाराज जी की जय. तय गौर प्रेमानंदे. हरे हरे बोल. So Hare Krishna. So today actually I'm going to give a discourse on the topic of anger. So how actually I'm going to cover both the aspect, how anger can be detrimental to our devotional service, and also from spiritual angle, as it is said that anything can be actually used in the service of the Lord. So how anger can be also is used in the service of the Lord by pure devotees. There are so many great examples. So I'm going to actually share those as well. So we can actually learn from those actually pastimes. So first of all, actually, let us understand actually what anger is. So as we know, this is a very basic human emotion, and everyone actually experience anger at some stage, or more practical actually, we experience that pretty much every day and at some stage. But we are very much actually, we try to control it, especially actually practicing devotee, so we have been taught to actually control, our senses, and actually anger, lust, greed, all those things. So it is actually everyday task, right, that we have to actually practice it, try to actually keep our mind calm and try to keep ourselves in a mode of goodness. So anger actually has a different categories as well. So there could be good anger, there could be bad anger. So the good anger is actually, which is when we use anger to actually correct someone out of humility, or we use anger in spiritual realm, as Srila Prabhupada says that actually we can use anger when the God, or Krishna is blasphemed or his devotees are criticized, then we can actually get angry. So that is a good anger. And when we say bad anger, and the bad anger actually, unfortunately, that constitute quite a large, if you see the anger around us, so many people get angry and upset and frustrated. And we see most of that is actually bad anger that is arising from actually the lust and greed and so on. So the anger can be actually passive anger. Sometimes people do get angry, but they do not accept that they are angry. They try to actually keep it calm. But no matter how much actually they try to hide it, they're actually, the tone of their voice or their body language can actually exhibit that they're angry. And some just try to, they go silent. So that is called, what is called is passive anger. And passive anger can be also damaging to your health as well, because you're actually keep burning inside. And actually the active, or actually what you call the wrath, open aggression, so that actually person is actually totally out of control, he's shouting in a big voice, or actually giving some hard time to other people, using bad words and all that. So that is, we're all familiar with, that is bad anger. And anger can have very damaging effects on your devotional service first, because actually we are actually focused on that aspect here. But even in your material life, it can have very damaging effects on your relationships, and work life as well, your health as well. So we are going to actually look into all those aspects here. And then actually we try to understand the actually importance, here, why it's so important to control the anger. So Guru Maharaj, His Holiness Mahavishnu Goswami Maharaj said, anger is one letter short of danger. So this is one of his transcendental mellow, and which is very, very true, because this is very strong emotion, and it's a very dangerous emotion when it is uncontrolled. Srila Prabhupada says that anger means lust. When you're lusty and when your lust is not fulfilled, you become angry. That's all. It's just another feature of lust. So this anger and its root cause, it may be lust, greed, envy, pride, ego. They are the actually major stumbling blocks on the path of our devotion. It is holding us back. We cannot progress with all these actually inabilities in our heart. It is actually product of calm, lust, it's a result of mode of passion and also sometimes ignorance as well. That there are all devouring enemies, that destroy our good qualities and our desire to become spiritually realized. Anger, it is unavoidable in material life because we always desire to actually gratify our senses, and naturally that lead to a frustration. So in Bhagavad Gita, it is very nicely explained by Lord Krishna. So we will actually later refer to those verses. So realizing that it is a foremost, one of the important enemy on the path of developing our Krishna consciousness, we should check it. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, in his Shishtashtakam, he said, Trinad api sunichena, taror api sahishnuna, amanina manadena, kirtaniya sadahari. One should chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking oneself lower than a straw in a street. One should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and one should ready to offer all respect to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of Lord constantly. So this is very, very important instruction, because we all actually trying hard to become Krishna conscious. And one of the key thing that we should able to chant, with a proper mindset that is actually described in this verse, that we should actually consider ourselves lower than a straw in a street, and we should offer all respect to others. So when we become angry, actually, are we really in that state? Actually, we are in totally opposite situation, when we become angry. So we cannot able to chant in that state. It's very damaging. It's actually offensive as well. And actually, when person become angry, he's not in control. He do not understand. Actually, he has no control what he's saying, how he's acting. So he totally become a slave to that emotion. But Guru Maharaj say that we should master the anger, not become a slave to the anger. When angry person speaking, it's like just like a dragon, is actually exhaling a fire, or somebody just grabbing a fireball and throwing at someone else. But what we don't realize that actually when we throw, fire or fireball at someone, first actually we burn ourselves, and then it actually definitely going to have a effect on the actually person at the person that we actually angry at. So it's very damaging emotion. And that's why actually Srila Prabhupada says that we cannot stop anger, altogether, but we should check it and we should apply it correctly, when there is opportunity. So this is actually spiritual aspect, it is definitely actually a major stumbling block on the actually path of our devotion. And from material as well. Before we go on, there is a verse in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 16, verse 21, where Lord Krishna says that There are three gates leading to this hell: lust, anger, and greed. Every sane man should give these up, for they lead to the degradation of soul. So here it is clearly stated, So out of three gates that lead to the hell, anger is one of that, and then lust and greed. So anger is more like a symptom. It's a symptom that is actually resulting from the lust and greed and envy and pride. So all these things will lead us to the hell. Actually, it will lead to the degradation of the soul. And Srila Prabhupada in the purport says that actually a sane man who does not want to glide down to the space of a demonic life must try to give up these three enemies, which can kill the self to an extent that there will be no possibility of liberation from the material entanglement. So when we read this purpose in Bhagavad Gita, we can understand that how damaging this anger can be, or this lust and greed. We do not understand, and I think we are in a material life, we take it very easily. We get angry at frivolous things, and we do not think that how actually it's damaging our devotional service. So we should actually think carefully, and we try to actually manage or control our anger. And there are actually instruction given in Bhagavad Gita where Lord Krishna talks about how anger manifests, and there are also other verses which talks about how we can actually check our anger. So all the information is given in Bhagavad Gita. But when you look at actually material aspect, of the anger as well. So Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he said that in order to develop a healthy community, and of course the health, of a person as well, we need to balance the four needs. First, he says we need to take care of the body. Health is important. Secondly, we need to stimulate our mind properly. And the third is we also need to have a sense of social well-being. So basically, this is overall, actually well-being that he's talking about here. And the fourth one, he said that we must actually study Shastra as well. So when we talk about actually mind and body and health, the anger has very, very damaging effect on your health. And Srila Prabhupada also stated, even Guru Maharaj stated that health is very important, if you want to become a devotee and if you want to discharge a devotional service, throughout your life, first thing you must do is to maintain your health in a good condition. Because if health is actually gone, we sing the song, every Sunday. If health is gone, that's a different song. So we do not know, whether we can able to perform devotional service or not, or altogether it will stop our devotional service. So health is very important. So when we get angry, actually there are some statistics which says that angry outbursts put your heart at a greatest risk. In 2 hours after an angry outburst, the chances of having a heart attack doubles. So it's quite alarming. And even if you try to suppress anger, artificially controlling anger, because Srila Prabhupada says that people, you cannot control the senses artificially. If you're just suppressing the anger, that is also not good for your health, because it says that when you suppress anger, it's indirectly actually related to a heart disease. On a long run, you will develop a heart condition. So keeping anger within our mind, in your head is also not good. Like holding a grudge. As Guru Maharaj says that actually holding grudge against someone, or actually perpetually being angry within your mind against someone, is like letting someone live in your head rent-free. So we are not getting any benefit by keeping those people in our head, but we are actually burning ourselves. Our health is actually diminishing, day by day. Anger also actually elevates your risk of actually having a stroke. it says that actually, if you have a actually angry outburst, it actually doubles your chances of having a stroke, or aneurysm as well. That is actually the blood clot or the bleeding inside your brain. Anger also weakens your immune system. So we all need a actually healthy immune system to keep our body in health against various bacteria and diseases. But if you're actually getting, if you have the anger issue, you're always getting angry or anxious all the time, it actually, your immune system become weaker and weaker. And these people actually, they feel sick very often. And that is actually quite true. Means I have also experienced that. And that's why I think we need to have a quite in a proper state of mind, calm mind. Anger also actually leads to the anxiety issues. It leads to depression. And actually, this isn't something new. What I learned is that chronic anger will also damage your lung. It reduces your lung capacity on a long run, even if you're not a smoker. And anger finally shortens your life. So this is all the actually facts what we learn. So what I was thinking on those points, and I realized that the anger that is actually as a result, it is actually coming out of a lust or greed or pride, ahankar. So these are the actually enemies of our mind. So if you are actually within the clutches of those things, then obviously Krishna also shortens our life. So this is something what we need to realize. If you want to actually maintain a healthy lifestyle, healthy body, healthy mind, which is actually absolutely necessary for our devotional service as well, then we need to actually check this enemy. So how anger manifests? So this is a famous Bhagavad Gita verse, chapter 2, verse 62. Okay, let me share a screen. Dhyayato vishayana pumsa sangaste supajayate sangata sanjayate kama kamata krodho abhijayate dhyayato vishayana pumsa sangaste supajayate sangata sanjayate kama kamata krodho abhijayate. Translation by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So here is saying, while contemplating the objects of senses, a person develops attachment for them. And from such attachment, lust develops. And from lust, anger arises. So, dhyayato vishayana pumsa. So when we contemplate on the object of senses, and Vishayan, Prabhupada said Vishayan means eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. These things are called Vishay. And we have 5 senses, the eye to see, a nose to smell, tongue to eat and speak as well, and ear to hear, and skin to touch. So all these senses, they always require some gratification. And Srila Prabhupada says in purport, if you do not engage these senses in the service of Lord Krishna, then they will definitely find the engagement in material things. And we all actually experience that on a daily basis, that whenever our senses are actually attached to material things, and as soon as we actually contemplate, even we think about those things, we actually instantly we develop attachment, and actually we become a lusty for those things. And if we do not actually able to satisfy our lust, then we become angry. So everybody actually, this is not a rocket science, everybody can actually realize this in their own life. Uh, there are so many actually examples even in today's life that actually that people become so greedy or lusty or selfish because just to try to satisfy themselves, they can even go to the greatest length of actually killing other people. So these are actually extreme examples that we see. There are so many crimes being committed and all that. So this is all the result, as Srila Prabhupada says, that actually our tendency to satisfy our senses, and we people who do not know this philosophy of Bhagavad Gita, we are actually fortunate that we actually come in contact with Guru Maharaj, Hare Krishna WECAN, and Srila Prabhupada, that we try to understand these things, to try to understand this philosophy. And at least now we know how actually anger, all this lust and greed, how these things they actually manifest and what is the root cause. Because if you do not know actually where this anger is coming from, if you do not understand this philosophy, then there is no possibility that we'll find a proper solution. Because I was also looking at actually, this is, even material world, there's so many so-called experts who specialize in anger management. And I looked at actually what they talk about. But when you look at their actually presentations, then we realize that they do not really know the root cause, Unless you know this Bhagavad Gita philosophy, you would not know where is all is actually emanating from. There is just actually, they use some calming techniques and breathe in and breathe out and actually think about happy things and try to wait out and all that. But this is just band-aid, it might help to some people, it may not. Actually, there is one great example in the UK where there are some teenagers, they have been actually kept into a rehabilitation facility by government because they realize that actually these teenagers, they're actually doing some criminal stuff, and they tend to be very short-tempered, and they have seen the angry outburst, at general mass of people. So they actually put into the rehabilitation center that actually taught them how to manage actually anger, anger management techniques and all that, and they later actually released them. Thinking they have actually those children, they actually been rectified. But the incident that happened after that, they actually, those, I do not actually mention actually names and all that, but those children went on, they planned, and actually they went on actually killing spree. They done the actually mass shooting. And actually the root cause was actually they couldn't able to manage their anger, So even actually there is no guarantee going through the anger management courses, we can able to manage your anger. But when you read this actually philosophy given in Bhagavad Gita and purport of Srila Prabhupada, then we understand that actually anger is actually coming from actually our tendency to enjoy the senses, and to gratify them all the time. And more we actually gratify them, more we become attached to that. That's why Srila Prabhupada says that actually we need to purify our senses, and there is only one way to purify the senses is to actually engage them in the service of the Lord. So the next verse, Bhagavad Gita chapter 2, verse 63. So, okay. Krodhat bhavati sammoha, sammohat smriti vibhramaha, smriti Brahmsat buddhinasho, buddhinashat pranashyati. Translation: from anger, complete delusion arises, and from delusion, bewilderment of memory. When memory is bewildered, intelligence is lost. And when the intelligence is lost, one falls down again into the material pool. So this is the next stage, the Krishna is saying that once, we develop attachment to the actually sense object, the lust actually manifests, and from the lust, anger actually manifests, because when we not able to satisfy our lust, anger manifests. And when anger manifests, the next stage is there is a complete delusion. So when we are in the state of, when we are in an angry state, we are like in some kind of illusion, we cannot control ourselves, it's like a hallucinating. We do not know what we're speaking, what we're doing. It's a very delusional state. And from delusion, bewilderment of a memory. So our memory is also affected as a result of anger. We cannot actually remember things. We cannot actually, sometimes actually we get angry with, very close people, which are actually dear to us as well. But when we are angry, actually we speak very harsh words. And we forget actually what that person actually has done for us in the past. So the memory is also bewildered. We cannot recall. Composure is lost. And from the bewilderment of a memory, intelligence is lost. So this is very dangerous. When we actually, it says that when we lose our intelligence, because Srila Prabhupada says that intelligence, we use intelligence to discriminate things. We can decide, what is good, what is wrong. What should I say? What I should not say? All those things, we're always discriminating. When our mind is calm, we are normal, we can make a right decisions, correct decisions. We actually remember the instruction that we learned so far. We remember the transcendental mellows. And we control, we try to control ourselves. That is my experience, because, but when I'm angry, actually, I do not remember all this stuff, because anger has actually taken complete control of myself. As they say, we became enslaved to the anger rather than we are actually controlling the anger. So we cannot discriminate, what I'm doing is right or wrong, and normally whatever decisions we take when we are angry is normally they are wrong decisions. It's neither in the actually interest of ourselves, neither actually it is going to definitely damaging to the person at which we are angry. And when intelligence is lost, here it says one falls down again into the material pool. So there is a fall down. So the actually in these two verses, so the process actually is clearly explained. How actually anger manifests. So it is actually arising from our lusty desires, our pride, arrogance. So anger is the product of mode of passion and ignorance. And Srila Prabhupada says that actually, if you want to become Krishna conscious, you should actually, we should place ourselves under the mode of goodness. That is very important if you want to actually progress, on this path of devotion. Then we should always be under the influence of mode of goodness. Because if you remain in the mode of ignorance, passion, then we do not understand this philosophy clearly, and we cannot see things as they are. And that will hamper our actually progress on this path of devotion. So now we know actually how anger manifests and how anger actually can damage our devotional service. It can have profound impact on our health. It can damage our relationship with our family, our friends. It can damage our work relationship. And our total and overall, actually, well-being is also damaged, So we must actually check anger. Because sometimes even out of arrogance or ego, we become angry. Guru Maharaj, I heard, actually remember this instruction where Guru Maharaj says that sometimes, people get angry, their face become like a balloon. And because even they do not admit they are angry, but their body language says it all. So even actually we are getting angry out of our own pride, but actually we do not realize that we are actually doing harm to ourselves. So it is in our best interest, we should actually, try to understand and try to see the things, what they actually really are, and then we actually act accordingly. So how we can actually control anger. Srila Prabhupada in Nectar of Instruction, text 1, he says that krodh, anger, cannot be stopped. So it's a basic emotion, So we cannot actually say that I will get rid of the anger, completely. It's not possible. So Srila Prabhupada said, but it can be applied rightly, We can use it correctly at right time, right place. In Bhagavad Gita, chapter 5, verse 23, it is said that before giving up this present body, if one is able to tolerate the urges of material senses and check the forces of desire and anger, he is well situated and is happy in this world. So here again, Krishna is actually saying that actually he's giving us, formula. How can we are situated properly and how we can be actually happy in this material world, Only by checking the urges of material senses and checking the force of desire and anger. So we have actually studied this in detail in Nectar of Instruction 1, Vacho Vegam, Manasah Krodha Vegam, Jivva Vegam, Udar Upastha Vegam, Etane Vegan, Yo Visheta Dirha, Sarvam Apimam, Prithvim Sashishat. So all these forces, forces of talk, forces of anger, forces of mind, forces of stomach, forces of genitals, forces of tongue. Srila Prabhupada said, who is able to control these forces, all the senses and the mind is called Goswami, who lives strictly controlled lives and forgo altogether the forces of senses. Material desires, when unsatiated, it leads to an anger. Thus, mind, eyes, chest become agitated. Therefore, one must practice to control them before one gives up this material body. One who can do this is understood to be self-realized and is thus happy in the state of a self-realization. It is duty of a transcendentalist to try strenuously to control desire and anger. So how we can actually control it? So let's look at actually how we can actually correct, anger. So suppose, you get angry, you are actually the state of in a middle of actually angry in a situation that you become angry. Then how we actually control the anger? To having that self awareness, having that self-awareness is very, very important, So you should realize that you are getting angry. Guru Maharaj says that when you become angry, either you keep your mouth shut or you walk away from the situation. So this is one of the melos, So I think we had many realization on this instruction, that the reason we keep our mouth shut because we know that now that when we become angry, we can say anything and to anyone. We have no control. Because we are not in control, anger is actually controlling us. So better we shut our mouth, Or if you can't do that, then we actually walk away. Srila Prabhupada actually give one very nice example how to control the anger. Srila Prabhupada says that when you go on the bank of a lake, beautiful lake, serene water, Srila Prabhupada says that when the water in the lake is, calm, and clear, then you can see actually the fishes inside the water, they're swimming around. You can see what is growing on the bottom of a lake. Everything is clearly seen as they are. There is no disturbance. But if you throw a pebble or a stone in the lake, it actually disturbs the water, water surface, and everything is become actually you cannot see, because waves are created. You cannot see any reflection. You cannot see what is happening underneath the surface. So you cannot see things as they are. So it is exactly the similar situation with the anger. Because when our mind is calm, when we are calm, then we can see, things as they are. But when our consciousness, if somebody actually provoked us, or we become angry out of, greed or lust or whatever, then we actually disturb our consciousness. And when the consciousness is disturbed, then we become bewildered, we cannot think. We become illusioned, bewildered. We cannot see things as they are. So Srila Prabhupada says that when you become angry, so what you do, you wait, So when you throw the stone in the lake, it disturbs the water surface. Then if you wait for some time, then again water is settled, Again you can actually clearly see, fishes are swimming. So the technique here is to just wait, So it can actually vary from person to person. But if we have the patience to wait, so all our when our anger is settles down, all that adrenaline in our blood goes down. We breathe in, breathe out, we calm ourselves down. And then when we actually settle, then Srila Prabhupada says that then you can think, you should not actually respond when you're angry, because most likely it is going to, very ugly situation. So we always must try to actually keep our consciousness clean and undisturbed. Actually, this means I was meditating on this the example, and I realized that we visited, there is one lake here, Blue Spring, near Rotorua. And that Blue Spring is also very crystal clear, you can see everything inside the water, the planktons and everything is growing, the fishes are swimming. You can see things, but especially if you go there in a sunny day, when sun rays are actually penetrating inside the water, then everything is very crystal clear, and it looks everything is beautiful. Because if it's a cloudy day, you may not see all the things. So I memorized, remember this verse from Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila, chapter 22, verse 31. Krishna Surya Sama Maya Haya Andhakara Yahan Krishna Tahan Nahi Mayar Adhikara. So Krishna is compared to sunshine and Maya is compared to darkness. Wherever there is a sunshine, there cannot be darkness. As soon as one takes to Krishna consciousness, the darkness of illusion, the influence of external energy will immediately vanish. So it says that whenever there is a light, there cannot be a darkness. When living entity become Krishna conscious, he is immediately relieved of all material lusty desires. Lusty desires and greed are associated with Raj and Tamas, passion and darkness. When one becomes Krishna conscious, the mode of passion and darkness immediately vanish, and then mode of goodness remains. When one is situated in the mode of goodness, he can make spiritual advancement and understand things clearly. So similarly, when we actually welcome Krishna in our life, so the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, especially with that knowledge, light, we can actually see things very clearly. We understand there is no illusion. Because in material life, we're always under some kind of illusion. We think, we think one thing and something happens, we try to actually judge people, all that. So even we are actually not angry, still we cannot able to actually properly judge, or sometimes we misjudge people and all that. But if we actually use this actually knowledge given in Bhagavad Gita, then we can really able to actually see things as they are, and we can actually able to make a correct decisions. Srila Prabhupada also once says that actually because we have committed so many sinful activities, in this life, maybe in a past life, many lives, so all that actually dirt that actually within our heart, so it actually settled at the bottom, just like the dirt is settled at the lake, But so it's always good to actually chant, Hare Krishna Mahamantra, and try to keep our consciousness clean and undisturbed. Because as soon as we agitate, we become angry, we agitate our consciousness, all these dirty things that are actually settled at the bottom, they actually get disturbed and they come out. And all the water become murky. Our consciousness become murky. And we're again disturbed and we fall down. So Srila Prabhupada says that do not agitate, just actually follow the actually instruction given, chant, do your services, and read the Srila Prabhupada's books. That way we can actually keep our actually mind in a calm state. And with the mercy of Krishna, slowly we can actually, as we chant, all this actually the dirt, all this actually sinful activities that is accumulated for many years, they can be gradually cleaned out. So once you are totally purified, so even later, even if you get angry, agitated, there's no dirt left that can be actually disturbed and make your actually consciousness again dirty. So I remember actually came into my reading. So it is very important. So the actually technique given here by Srila Prabhupada is very practical from what I realized. And so this is just actually when we become angry, we can use these techniques, but in a long run, actually how to actually prevent these things altogether. So this is famous verse from Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila, chapter 19, verse 170. Sarvopadi vinurmuktam tatpartena nirmalam rishikena rishikesha sevanam bhakti ruchyate. Bhakti or devotional service means engaging all our senses in service of the Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Master of all senses. When the spirit soul renders service unto Supreme, there are two side effects. One is freed from all material designations, and one's senses are purified simply by being employed in the service of the Lord. So this is actually one of the definition of the bhakti, and it's very important instruction here. And this is very relevant to this discussion as well, because by actually engaging all our senses, because senses are the actually root cause, we try to actually gratify senses, we become lusty, and then that's how actually the anger actually manifests. But if we actually purify our senses, and the formula given here is that actually we engage all our senses in Krishna's service. The first side effect is say that we become free from all the designations. So we have all different designation and upadhis, we are actually father, maybe uncle, we are actually manager or president or so on. And all this designation gives us a pride. And this pride can also lead to the anger. When our pride is hurt, our ego is hurt, we become agitated, we become angry. So by following this process, it is said that we get rid of all the designations. So we are actually eliminating the root cause here. And by engaging all the senses in the service of the Lord, just like Ambrish Maharaj did. So this is the actually reference from Srimad Bhagavatam, where it says that Ambrish Maharaj had always engaged his mind in meditating upon the lotus feet of Krishna, his words in describing glories of the Lord, his hands in cleansing the Lord's temple, his ears in hearing the words spoken by Krishna or about Krishna. He engaged his eyes in seeing the deity form of Krishna, Krishna's temple, Krishna's places like Mathura and Vrindavan. He engaged his sense of touch in touching the bodies of Lord's devotees. He engaged his sense of smell in smelling the fragrance of Tulsi offered to Lord. And he engaged his tongue in tasting the Lord's prasad. He engaged his legs in walking to the holy places and temples of Lord, his head in bowing down before the Lord, and all his desires in serving the Lord 24 hours a day. Indeed, Ambrish Maharaj never desired anything for his own sense gratification. He engaged all his senses in devotional service in various engagements related to the Lord. This is the way to increase attachment for the Lord and be completely free from all material desires. So this is a very great example, that actually this instruction is actually implemented by Ambrish Maharaj, and we can actually learn from it. So once our actually senses are actually purified in this way, then these senses will not contemplate on material things, So there is no cause for the lust to manifest and resulting anger. So this is actually, preventative measure, what I can actually see, that once we actually purified our senses, then we're actually eliminating the root cause. Because once you're angry, there is a technique to calm down, because you are, but that can happen again and again, So you're always struggling. So solution is given here, how you can actually keep yourself calm, keep your consciousness clean all the time, keep yourself in a mode of goodness. As Srila Prabhupada says that if you want to progress, you need to keep yourself under the influence of mode of goodness, not passion and ignorance. And last point here, that we can actually apply anger correctly. And I will read some of the Srila Prabhupada's quotes here and some excerpts from some of his purports. This is from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 4, verse 10. Srila Prabhupada writes, one who has developed a love for Vishnu must develop a love and respect for Vishnu's devotees. Lord Shiva is considered the foremost personality among the Vaishnavas. Vaishnavanam yatha Shambhu. Thus, when Sati saw her father was performing great sacrifice, but had no respect for the greatest devotee, Lord Shiva, she was very angry. This is fitting. When Vishnu or Vaishnava is insulted, one should be angry. Lord Chaitanya, who always preached non-violence, meekness, and humility, also became angry when Nityananda was offended by Jagai and Madai, and he wanted to kill them. When Vishnu or Vaishnava is blasphemed or dishonored, one should be very angry. Narottam Das Thakur said, Krodha Bhakta Dveshi Jane. When we have anger, that anger can be great quality when directed against a person who is envious of a Supreme Personality of Godhead or his devotee. One should not be tolerant when a person is offensive toward Vishnu or Vaishnava. The anger of Sati toward us, her father, was not objectionable, for although he was her father, he was trying to insult the greatest Vaishnava. Thus, Sati's anger against her father was quite applaudable. So here, the actually Srila Prabhupada described where we can actually use the anger correctly. And there are many other actually examples, but it says that Vaishnava should not get angry. That doesn't mean that we can never become angry. There is actually a short story from Srimad Bhagavatam where Srila Prabhupada narrates that once there was a snake, who became a devotee upon instruction of Narad, who instructed him to not to bite anymore. And since ordinary snake's business is to fatally bite other living entities, as a devotee, he was forbidden to do so. Unfortunately, people took the advantage of this non-violence on the part of snake, especially the children who began to throw stones at him. He did not bite anymore. However, because it was the instruction of his spiritual master Narad, after a while, snake met his spiritual master. He complained, I have given up the bad habit of biting innocent living entities, but they are mistreating me by throwing stones at me. Upon hearing this, Narad Muni said, don't bite, but do not forget to expand your hood as if you were going to bite. Then they will go away. Similarly, devotee is always non-violent. He is qualified with all the good characteristics, but in common world, there is a mischief made by others. He should not forget to become angry, at least for the time being, in order to drive away the miscreants. So this is another actually, good realization by Srila Prabhupada that yes, as we should not get angry, but actually there are people with the demonic propensities in this world all the time. So we should be very careful. We should not give the opportunity to them to actually take advantage of that we are actually trying to control our senses. So we do not bite, but we show the hood. So that is a realization here. Okay, is this time now? Okay, yeah. Okay, I think yeah, we just have 2 minutes. And just like that, there are other examples like Hanumanji. He also actually set the Lanka on fire. So that is his service to Lord Ram when Sita Devi was kidnapped by Ravana. So he utilized his anger in serving Lord Ram that way. So yeah, that is a thing. So as Srila Prabhupada always says that that you actually try to control or check your anger, and we must actually check our anger if you want to actually progress on this path of devotion. So its best thing is to chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, and be happy. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Amrish Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Krishna, can you put for everyone, please? Screen. Thank you. Thank you very much, Shital Prabhu, for your nice realization. Now, we've got a few minutes. If anyone has anything to share, any questions, please feel free. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Okay.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Sorry, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Mataji, you first.
No, it's fine, Prabhuji. You can say, then I'll.
No, Mataji, I'm just saying something. You are saying important thing, Prabhu.
No, nothing like that, Prabhuji.
Okay, thank you, Srila Prabhu, for covering that anger and giving a practical solution to anger problem. It's a real problem everybody is facing. I don't know about everybody, but most of people face. And yeah, there are different kind of angers. Just quickly, I just wanted to share my relation on your class.
Yes,
is that before Krishna starts and goes to 2.62 and 6.63, before he starts preaching, he actually says in 2.15, verse number 15, the same chapter, and before he starts elaborating based on the question being asked, And it is, the translation says, "O best among men," that is Arjuna, the person who is not disturbed by happiness and distress and is steady in both is certainly eligible for liberation. So that is the first quality. That is the starting point, that to be steady. And that's all we try to practice. And to get liberated means anger, okay, it gives problem, how to control anger, and if you do anger, what happens. But Krishna is very, in the beginning, he start that being steady is the foremost thing. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you for your class.
Yes, thank you, Prabhuji. Yeah, that's a very good point, Prabhuji. Yeah, being steady. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Shri Prabhu, thank you very much for a nice class, as always. So I was thinking that, there were so many different references that you gave for how to control anger. We are also sometimes at the receiving end of anger, So this is connected to Avinash Prabhu's point as well. But so sometimes, yes, that we have all these things that we should do, should not do, how we should think, how we should be sita prajna, we should not, let things affect us. But then also many times we are at the receiving end of somebody else being angry, and how to deal with that, because sometimes that can also trigger anger in you, or it can trigger other different negative emotions in you. So yeah, Prabhuji, if you can maybe share something on that.
Yes, Mataji, I think, I did actually thought about that point. And I think it came into the reading where Srila Prabhupada says that if you are certain that if you're not at fault and somebody's actually, coming at you, then we should not actually stay quiet and walk away. So we should not get agitated. That's for sure. We should not lose the composure. But rationally we think and actually we answer, that we should actually put, our points forward. So the person should not think that actually he's right, or he should realize that it is his mistake. So I think that is what actually Srila Prabhupada said, that we should not actually come across very weak, if it's not your mistake, so you definitely try to avoid the provocation, but actually you should actually find a way to present your points clearly, So yeah, that is actually, it doesn't maybe come very easily to everyone, but I think it's kind of art, probably. Yeah. Yes, Mataji. Probably I can actually request Ambrish Prabhu, he may actually expand on that point.
Yes, Hare Krishna. So, yes, all this, keeping composure, and Krishna, can you please be careful about changing the screens, please? Be alive, please. You are managing it. Thank you. So, all this is very well good when you're on the books, and perfect gentleman and perfect gentlewoman and all these things. But it's not practical when you are facing the real situation. Yes, some of you can do it. Some people can do it. Most of the people can't do it. It's not, but yes, it is important that one should not be shown coming out as a weak person. Opening of the hood is very important. And try all these things. All arsenal with you, which you have got. Because if you're on the receiving end of someone's anger, it is unjustified. You just got very bad detrimental effect on you. Krishna, can you please change the screens, please? Thank you. Are you there?
The spotlight.
Just put it for everybody. Spotlight for everybody. A remote spotlight for them.
Yeah, it's showing you. Just you.
Okay. That's so. One thing is there that even for managing anger, as well as managing protecting oneself from anger, that one quality is very important. There is detachment. Only if one is really detached, one can be angry for the benefit of other people. As you said, that lust creates anger. It's for many people who are attached all the time. Me, mine, for me, people should change for me, all those things. Similarly, even when you are on the receiving end of the anger, if you have to be detached, you can walk away. You can state your point and walk away. Otherwise, I can tell you this, it will affect your health more. Yes, getting angry gets affected, but the receiving end of the person will be more affected. So one has to be very, very sure and clear the point and walk away. And be detached. Be detached. That's it. Not to be turned off. This is what I would say. I just thought that way. This is my personal realization. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Yes. Thank you, Amrish, for clarifying this point.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Shital Prabhu, and thank you, Amrish Prabhu as well. So yeah, I think that point about detachment is very kind of, you can resonate with that, because Srila Gurudev also instructs, that sometimes we receive anger, then we receive criticism. So it was not only related to anger, but this point stayed with me when I read that Srila Gurudev says, His Holiness Mahavishnu Goswami Maharaj, that nobody, when say if you go back to Godhead and you're facing Krishna is not going to ask you how much anger you have received, how much criticism you have received. That is irrelevant. It becomes irrelevant. So I feel like the answer lies in detachment, in the sense that we don't sometimes we don't give too much importance also. I feel so to the point of protection, you have to then you have to mention your points, but then sometimes it's also, you can come into a situation where your point is not going to be heard also, so you have to make those decisions like that. Now, who you're talking to is also important. The person that you're dealing with is also important. So all those things I feel is very important as well. It's just practically, I'm just thinking. And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter, because ultimately Krishna and Guru, they knows, what's in your heart, and what's the how do I say, like, if you react, then you can get the reaction of that. If you don't react, then you don't get the reaction, in a way. So I think it's the point of detachment that really kind of explains the whole how you should deal with it also, and then how you should deal with it yourself also. So thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Yes. Thank you, Mataji. Yes, I think, that's very important practical point, as Amrish has said. And I think it's a learning curve, we learn from the experience from others as well. So yes, thank you, Mataji and all the devotees. Hare Krishna.
Hare Bol. Thank you very much, Shri Prabhu. So now with this, we conclude our class and discourse on anger. And anger is also an essential element for devotion service. So with this now, for those who are following us on YouTube, we will be disconnecting you from YouTube now, and we're connecting again in few seconds. Okay, I think my voice is clear. Is everybody can hear my voice? Is it clear enough? Loud enough? If you can please say this.
Yes.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much. So for those of you who are following us on YouTube, we'll be disconnecting you now. And